Some of us may wonder, how does Canadian law handle cases when the accused had mental disorder? Obviously, the judges cannot use the same criminal law to apply on people with mental disorder. Instead, they are not criminally responsible on account of mental disorder, which can be called NCRMD legislation. In this video, we are going to find out the creation process of NCRMD in Canada, the court assessment order, and criticize the pros and cons of NCRMD by investigating Vince Lee's case and the article of Michael Goulet. Before we moving further, let's go through some terms. So what does mental disorder mean? According to the World Health Organization, mental disorder refer to the combinations of abnormal thoughts, emotion, behavior, and relationship with others. Mental health courts are criminal courts created to help deal with accused persons who have mental health and other related issues. As mentioning in Goulet's articles, the accused with mental disorder usually got classified as either primary diagnosis, aka psychotic disorder, which includes schizophrenia, delusional disorders, or secondary diagnosis, aka affective disorder, which include depression or bipolar disorder. So, what does the legislation mean? The not criminally responsible on account of mental disorder is a legislation protects a person from being criminally responsible for their crime while suffering from a mental disorder that render the person incapable of appreciating the nature and the quality of the act or omissions, or of knowing that it was wrong. In other words, an accused whom is found not criminally responsible for their actions due to a personal mental illness will be judged based on the NCRMD legislation. In the next slide, we will find out about the process of making the NCRMD legislation. Our NCRMD law was based on the Criminal Lunatics Act, which was included in the British Criminal Code. Then Canada adopted the Criminal Lunatics Act in 1892. After periods of using and applying the law in Canada, the Supreme Court of Canada said that the law conflicted with the Charter of Rights and Freedoms. Therefore, the NCRMD became the law of Canada in 1992, was based on the Bill of C-30. So what is the assessment order of applying NCRMD during the court? Well, at first, the judge have to decide whether the accused is fit to stand trial. If the accused cannot fit in the stand trial, then they will proceed the cause at mental health court and declare an assessment made by a medical practitioner. A review board member will be created with a minimum of 5 people, including a psychiatrist, to diagnose the accused's mental disorder. And the judges will evaluating the accused based on their psychological assessment result. After that, a verdict of not criminally responsible on account of mental disorder will be made in respect of the accused, because the purpose of mental health court is to rehabilitation. Court then have to decide whether they should release the accused to the community under the supervisions, or they will keep the accused based on the risky of their mental illness state. So basically, the court will include 2 tiers. The first tier will refers to the obvious fact that a person can be found NCRMD or they were suffering a mental disorder. Then the second tier will decide whether the mental disorder interfere with the accused and impact on their mind to commit the crime. And now we are going to find out how the Vince Lee case has led to the Bill C-54. The verdict of Lee's case led to the controversial arguments toward the court's decisions as well as the NCRMD law. In general, the arguments came from the victim's perspective. Well, how could the court affirm that Vinsley and some other people found not criminally responsible to be safe enough to be released back into the community? And what are the counseling services available to support the victims and the witnesses from PTSD? After a period of time, the Bill C-54 came into force in July 2014 in order to be stricter with those who accuse NCR and show more empathy toward the victims. And last but not least, let's discuss about some pros and cons of the Canadian NCRMD law. Based on Lee's case and Michael's articles, it is clear that the court decisions relies mainly on analytical data that based on those medical assessments. And this can lead to the unfair decision because it doesn't put the victim's perspective into account. Instead, the NCRMD focuses more on the accused state of mind. However, the NCRMD law also has some pros points that we need to mention. For example, the data collect methods that analyzed from the medical files are varied, which made the final psychological results more precise. Also, the trials are more inclusive and fairer because the court put mental disorder into their considerations to make the verdict. And that was all the basic info that we need to know about the Canadian not criminally responsible on account of mental disorder law. Thanks for watching.